Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. If you'd like to join us on the show today, 803-978-1832. My voice sounds like a cat in a blender, but I'm going to push through. That's what we do around here. Man. Happy to be able to talk some sports with you today here on the radio. Give us a call at 803-978-1832. Lots of things we're going to get into today. Big-time stuff in the NFL where some teams are trying to win championships and other teams are not. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about transfer quarterbacks. Sam Pittman did something silly with his yard. We'll talk about that with the Arkansas coach in a little bit. The Commanders for Washington, which just is stupid, by the way, but they have lost their main radio affiliate. We'll tell you what that means and why that's something that could affect you down the line, even if you're not a Commanders fan. We'll get into that. But we got to start with Lane Kiffin today down at Ole Miss. You know, Lane Kiffin has never been shy about using Twitter or whatever to get himself in the camp of whatever message he's trying to put out there. And I tell you what, you know, there's some people that he's very hot and cold. Either people love him or people absolutely hate him. And there really is no middle ground with it. But Kiffin got into it with he didn't really get into it, but he was asked about the NIL again. And remember, this is, of course, he was talking a little bit about the stuff with Jimbo Fisher, who said this.
The hypocrisy is a joke. It's an absolute joke, and it's insulting to our staff, how hard we work, to how we do things, and it's insulting to Texas A&M because there ain't a better place to go to school and play ball. If we don't like it, we're coming on. Get used to it. We ain't going nowhere.
And of course, Fisher said this.
It's an absolute joke that people put the hard work in and do it. It's irresponsible, but it's funny when they get it, it's all okay. Ball games are changing, man. And it ain't because of NIL and what goes on. It's pretty irresponsible of all of them. They're clowns.
Now, you mentioned clowns, that term there, and he's talking about former SEC coaches. Remember this?
It's funny when Nick Saban said his quarterback got an $800,000 deal. It was wonderful. Now it ain't wonderful no more, huh? But ours, we ain't got that. Ours are on record what comes up. We ain't doing all them big deals. Ain't none on our place we know of. That's funny when you do it.
So there's that. And then it comes down to Kiffin saying this yesterday in his press conference.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously said a lot about NIL from the beginning of it. Let's make sure that we understand. I love that the players are getting paid, and I just say how it is. So, you know, I mean, I guess I got called a clown before for saying how it is. NIL has a lot to do with where players go. And to not think that's crazy. And I mean, it'd literally be like being a head coach in the NFL, signing a great free agency class, you know, of signing guys, going out and getting these great players and coming up here and saying to you guys, the contract had nothing to do with why the players came here. And they just want to come play for me. So obviously it has a lot to do with where players go, and it should. I mean, you're talking about 17, 18-year-old kids, you know. Adults choose jobs a lot of times for money, for salary. So why would a kid not?
So what this says is point blank, he's basically throwing back at the biggest clown coach in the SEC right now, which is Jimbo Fisher, who has the biggest and best of everything with all of the funding and everything else that Texas A&M has. And Lane Kiffin down at Ole Miss said, please stop with this nonsense where you think that players don't come to you because of NIL. Stop with this whole nonsense of this arrogancy of, oh, they're coming here to play for me. No, they're not. They're 17 and 18 years old, and a lot of them their parents have never seen the kind of money that they could be offered there as far as NIL goes. Now, you have to give respect to Texas A&M for getting together the NIL stuff quickly and making sure they got a jump on folks. Okay? Respect that. But what Kiffin said is correct. We can get into an argument about NIL this and NIL that, and you don't like the NIL and all of that. But what Kiffin said is absolutely correct. For coaches to say things like what Jimbo Fisher said, that, oh, they're coming here for me. No, they're not. They're really not. They're coming there because of the NIL opportunities. And guess what? If you don't like the NIL, that's fine. But I ask you this, do you like winning? Because if you want to win, you need the best recruits. And it does make a difference. It really, really does. If you want to respond to what Lane Kiffin said, we'll take your calls at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Kiffin also said it's basically like everybody's got different salary caps. I joked the other day that they're going to implement a luxury tax on Texas and Texas A&M. What they're paying the players is unbelievable. It's legal. You've got players who've never played before making hundreds of thousands or even $1 million. It is what it is, but it's not going to be an equal playing field around the country at all. What would happen in the NFL if people had different salary caps? Eventually, those guys with the high salary caps are going to win a lot of games. Yeah, I can understand that. But here's the thing. Jimbo Fisher's had an all-world recruiting class for the past, 6 seasons, something like that. They finished in the top 10. He hasn't done the job yet. So until you actually do what Kirby Smart did and actually win, he gets the Shut the Hell Up award, and he needs to stop. Let's go out to the phones, 803-978-1832. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
How's it going, Rob? Bluegrass Sports Media.
Hi.
How's it going, man? I just want to call and get your thoughts on the Tennessee quarterback situation thing with the kid from California.
Oh, are you talking about the stuff with Hendon Hooker or the new recruit? Bear with me. Which one are you talking about?
The new recruit.
Okay.
The new recruit.
What you got?
So this kid is the Grim Reaper to Josh Heupel. And everyone's saying,
wait a minute. Hold on, sir. How could you possibly say that? He hasn't thrown a pass. He's not even on campus yet, and you're saying that he's going to kill Josh Heupel.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Because they're paying this kid $8 million. Tennessee fans
No. We're not going to do that. It's not an issue of the university's paying him. He has NIL endorsement money that he will get paid for his name, image, and likeness. We need to make sure that we put it out there correctly. The University of Tennessee is not doing that. It's the folks that are going to have his stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Spire Finance Group or whatever that shell company Tennessee has is going to pay this guy $8 million.
Okay.
So what that's going to do is this kid's going to brings a lot of hype to Tennessee fans who already have unrealistic expectations on where their program should be. Do you agree with that?
Sorry, repeat what you just said.
I was asking if you agree that Tennessee fans have unrealistic expectations where they should be as a football program.
No, I don't. I think that every team thinks that they should be able to, compete at some point. I mean, I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation to think that you should be challenging for the East title. Why not? Nobody thought they'd win more than 4 games last year, and they knocked us all in the teeth with that.
Okay, well, I think they're delusional. You think they're regular fan base. Either tomato, either way. So this kid is a 5-star quarterback. They haven't had a 5-star quarterback since 2002. He's going to bring in so much hype into this program. And he's probably, with all the hype he's bringing in, it's going to be hard not to start this kid as a freshman.
Okay, well, let's start. Let's shut that down for a second. As long as Hendon Hooker is healthy, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. This kid coming in is not going to see the field this year unless they put in special packages
he's not coming
for
in
him
this year, Rob.
Right, the following year, yeah. But that's right. I've got my brain mixed up here.
Yeah, he's a 2023 kid.
Yeah, he's a 2023 kid. I don't know why I'm thinking for this year. Look, the kids come in now, they expect to play as a freshman. So I don't understand what the problem is with that.
Because he's going to be a freshman quarterback in the SEC behind a terrible offensive line.
How do you know the
with expectations
that we're talking down the road? How do you know the offensive line is going to be terrible?
Because it's Tennessee, they're always terrible.
So you can project how the offensive line is going to be 2 seasons from now.
Yes.
Okay. You sir are like Nostradamus. You really are.
I'm glad you're starting to wisen up to that. But what I was saying is that he's going to create such a high expectation that finishing second in the East is not going to be acceptable for Tennessee fans. If you're paying a quarterback $8 million, you're going to have to pay. I mean, what's the salary cap at Tennessee? It has to be in the $20 million a year, right? If you're going to pay a quarterback $8 million,
they're not paying him that much money. It is the NIL stuff that's out there.
I understand. When I say Tennessee, I mean Spire Finance Group or whatever they call it.
Sure.
Let's clarify that. So they're paying him that money, which is going to create hype, and finishing second isn't going to cut it for these unrealistic Tennessee fans. So Josh Heupel is going to be on his way out before this kid probably leaves Tennessee.
Okay. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I don't know how that's going to work out. And to be honest, you don't either. So
no one can tell the future besides me, Nostradamus. But adding expectations onto a program who was lucky to win 7 games last year wouldn't you say that's a bad thing?
No.
Why would you not say it's a bad thing?
Because under your logic, you're implying that no team should have any aspirations of being better than what they're projected to be. I don't buy that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there are steps. And Tennessee fans, as soon as they see a 5-star quarterback in, is going to go from being 7-5 to, we should have our first 10 to 11 win season in 20 years.
Look, I think Tennessee's got a lot of building still to do, but to just throw out there that this guy is going to be the Grim Reaper for Josh Heupel is a little bit silly.
It's not. When it's almost like
Hold on, sir. Respectfully, you said that earlier. You said he was going to be the Grim Reaper of Josh Heupel.
No.
Those are your words.
That's what I'm saying. It's not outlandish to say that.
You don't know how well this kid's going to play. You have no clue. Come on now.
I do have a clue.
Okay.
Look at the past recruiting classes at Tennessee. The talent there is not going to be good enough for him to be and play at the level they want him to in the SEC as a freshman.
Okay. I mean, I don't know where to go from there. I mean, you've already told me you know how great their offensive line is going to be 2 seasons from now, and he's going to be expected to play as a freshman. And by the way, let's make sure we put this out there. Yeah, he's committed to Tennessee, but he hasn't signed. He could flip himself and go somewhere else. Who knows at this point? He may not even suit up for Tennessee.
He's not flipping and going anywhere else.
You don't know that for sure. If
you would have
told me that Spencer Rattler would be at South Carolina after he went to Oklahoma and threw for 3,000 yards as a freshman, I would have laughed at you. I'd have thought you were funnier than Chris Rock. So don't tell me about that. You don't know where these kids are going to go and what they're going to do yet. You really.
What about the $350,000 that Spire gave his mother? It's contingent on him going to Tennessee.
How do you know that? I haven't seen reports of that.
There's reports of that. They gave his mother came out on social media and said it.
Who reported it? I mean, was it I Love Big Blue at ilovekentucky.com? I haven't seen this.
No, his mother came out on social media and said how much the money changed their life and how much they needed the money, gave the sob story and everything.
Well, we shall see. I mean, and once again, if you're upset that Tennessee has a better NIL program than your team does, there's not much I can do to help you with that. Here's a thought, just get better.
Well, here's the problem. The NIL is not going to help them pass Kentucky in the standings.
Well, no. Maybe you should
spend all our money.
Maybe you should get with Bob Stoops and you guys go get some Kroger money and give these guys some sushi or whatever it is that you get from Kroger. And hopefully that'll lure some folks to come there. Maybe that's what you need to do instead of being jealous of what Tennessee has done.
I don't get jealous, sir. I don't
Your
punch down
entire
the standings.
call has been jealousy.
It's not been jealousy. It's been
Okay.
spitting true facts, sir.
No, sir. There's nothing there. All you've spit out is things that you think that may or may not be true.
No, they're true. I mean,
okay. Do you have anything else besides you want to rip Tennessee for signing this big time quarterback? Who, by the way, you must be scared of this guy because you did take the time to call in about him. Maybe he's a game changing quarterback. I don't know. I haven't seen him step on the field yet.
No, I took the time in to call him because the only thing I've been hearing the last 3 days on YouTube, including my channel, is about this kid. I'm a leaver or something. He's going to leave him high and dry. But yeah, you want to talk about NIL money? You should look at our basketball NIL money. We've been doing it for years. All right,
sure.
And we've got this down to a science.
Yeah, you got it down to a science, and St. Peter's beat that ass. How'd that science work out for you?
Oh, you said the cuss word.
I can say ass on the air. What are you talking about?
I thought that was a cuss word. Anyway, they did beat us, but 8 national championships says that it's been working the 50 years we've been doing it before.
Sure. All right. I have to go to a break, but thank you for calling the program. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Hit me up in the chat, Tennessee fans.
All right. Goodbye. Very jealous individual there. Oh, goodness. I don't even know where to go from that. I mean, I want to talk about Lane Kiffin and NIL and basically how he threw back at Texas A&M. We've got Kentucky fans calling the program upset about what Tennessee did. That's how the rundown runs every day, man. It's ADD on the radio. I really believe that. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right. I don't know. I don't even know where to go from that. That call made me more stupid by osmosis. It's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't believe he's saying these things. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I think that's the term I wanted to use there, B-Bean. There's no way that he really thinks that way. I wonder where this guy goes or where he is at as far as I'm looking him up because I'm willing to bet. Hold on. Let's see here. I got a great stat for you. Hold on. This is going to be funny. I like it. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. Just a little something to put out there. I can understand why Kentucky fans are upset by this. The young man that Tennessee got at quarterback is rated as a .9961 as far as the 247 Sports Composite rankings. The highest rated recruit ever to go to Kentucky is Antonio Hall, an offensive tackle. He was .9946. So this guy that's coming in is more highly rated than anyone that has ever gone to Kentucky. So I guess I would be upset by that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Blind Squirrel says, you still got those allegedly illegally loud speakers. That's funny. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number down if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon. Right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Baseball last night. I want to get into this really quick for a second. Clemson got thumped by Coastal Carolina. I think it was Coastal scored 10 runs in the first inning and just rolled. South Carolina got knocked off by the Citadel. Remember when both those programs were really, really good? Yeah, not so much anymore. It's kind of what we're dealing with now. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Getting back to what Lane Kiffin said, I kind of agree with everything he said. And I think that people are pointing out the stuff that went on at Texas A&M, and Jimbo Fisher is upset about it. And the reality is that I don't know why. If you want people to take you seriously, then you're going to have to do the NIL stuff. It's just the way that it is. 803-978-1832. Jimmy says, my best advice for bluegrass is to decrease the dosage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The hat says, don't mess with the Citadel. Yeah. Coastal looked good last night, too. Clemson went from a team that started what? I don't remember what they started, but they're 15-5 now, something like that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I've got other football stories to get to, including this. Sam Pittman has a lake house, and he did the most Sam Pittman thing ever, which is he put an actual Razorback fountain out in front of his lake house. I'm going to post these pictures later on my blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com. Pretty funny. He definitely went big with the adage of, hey, I'm going to have it looks like an actual Razorback that's a fountain in front of his house. Pretty funny. Brandon says, hey, Rob, who is your pick in the ladies' Sweet 16? Look, I'm just going to throw this out there. South Carolina has 10 McDonald's All-Americans. There's only 12 people on the roster. 10 of them are McDonald's All-Americans. They should be favored in every game that they play. They have the best coach in the country. If they lose, it's more of a shock than anything else. So until somebody beats them in the tournament, I'm not going to be surprised. So there you go. I mean, they're that good. I mean, they've got all the talent in the world. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, it's Big Barney Ross. Fixed to get blown off a skyscraper. I want to call in real quick and say, now, three choices. Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, John Calipari's coaching ability, or Urban Meyer's returning to the scene of the crime in Ohio State. Which one of them is the worst? Big Barney Ross. I'm out of here.
all could theoretically be bad. I'd probably roll with Watson because I think he's got more of a someone has to just be with Watson and just basically make sure he doesn't call for massages. So I think that Watson would be the case that I would go with there. Sancho says bluegrass going to be salty when Tennessee pulls a couple more 5-stars in a couple of weeks. Okay with that. Brandon says Stanford's very good at women's hoops. Yes, they are. But we'll see on that. I mean, I'm just saying from a talent perspective alone, South Carolina should win every game. They really should. The fact that they've lost twice this season is like, huh? Okay. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you want to talk about NIL, let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
All right. I wanted to touch on what Bluegrass was saying just to begin with.
Sure.
I think I get the overall point that he's trying to make is that it with getting this 5-star already and just people knowing Tennessee to be Tennessee, I don't have any faith Josh Heupel's going to be there past year 3 until Tennessee proves otherwise, because they're just recycling coaches on repeat at this point.
I mean, that is fair because that's their track record. But, I mean, the thing that bothered me the most about that was he talked about the pressure that the young man's going to be under. Look, when you're playing at that level, there's pressure. That's going to happen. I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, that's why he's getting the money that he's getting.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he's not going to work out or anything. But I think I get the overall point that he was trying to get across, that I think it's going to set expectations higher than it's possible for them to be met by the fan base.
Okay, I can understand that.
I think may have been where he was trying to go with it.
He was trying to put a chocolate drop into a box that was full of nails the way that he delivered it. The way you put it was much better and easier to understand. So, I can understand that.
And I could be completely wrong. That's just what I took from it. Now, as far as Jimbo Fisher and Lane Kiffin, I've known Jimbo was a clown for a long time. I'm a University of Miami fan, so I've had to deal with him going back to his Florida State days. Jimbo needs to stop. He thought the same crap when he was at Florida State. And listen, I'd buy that out of Jimbo as much as I buy that Travis Hunter cares at all about HBCUs and not a $2 million check.
Well, I mean, the only people that really think Jimbo Fisher is a good coach are Texas A&M fans and Beg and Megan, who absolutely loves him. Other than that, everyone knows that he's a clown, and he's showing it every day.
I think he's a clown and probably a terrible person, but, I mean, him and Urban Meyer are both terrible people, but they're exceptional football coaches. I'm not going to take that away from him.
He's like Bobby Petrino. He really is. The same. You put all three of them in a room together, you don't want to go to that room.
Ugh. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I have to put, me personally, I have to put Jimbo up on Kirby's level because Jimbo won his national title 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, it's one of those things. He's like the Trent Dilfer of coaches with a national title, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he won it. Congratulations, you have it. But in reality, you don't deserve it, especially the way that he dealt with the Jameis Winston stuff where they made movies about Jameis Winston being a rapist, and he still played at Florida State and did everything that he did there. And Jimbo Fisher was cool with it.
As a Tampa Bay fan as well, that one kind of hurts. Old Trent bringing up some bad memories there.
Yeah, but, sorry about that.
But I would actually be honest with you, I would throw Ed Orgeron more into that spot. As a guy that's a terrible head coach that got a ring, I actually do think Jimbo's a good coach.
Okay, so in the land of Trent Dilfer coaches, you like Ed Orgeron over Jimbo Fisher. Okay.
I mean, can you name, any redeeming quality outside of him lucking up into Joe Burrow and Joe Brady in the same year.
Well, I mean, Joe Brady hasn't been very good since he left, so I'm not buying that Joe Brady's the best thing ever either. He was a passing game coordinator down there. He wasn't the offensive coordinator, so there's that.
I'm not, but he was really. I give him credit for being the spark that got LSU out of 1995 football.
Fair enough. I got you. That makes sense.
And yeah, I mean, because at one time Miami was talking about hiring Joe Brady, and I'm like, he looks like a one and done, but I got to give him credit for what he did do.
Okay, I can buy into that too. Anything else, man?
Jimbo Fisher with this whole thing of, they're coming for you. Nick Saban could make that claim before NIL. I would say Mario Cristobal could make that claim. And there's a few others. I think I'd probably throw Kirby on that list because he did pretty good. Actually, he did elite recruiting before NIL was a thing in college football. So Jimbo Fisher was never held up there as one of these, head coaches that's considered a great recruiter, and they're coming for you.
We'll see on the Jimbo Fisher front. When he makes comments like that, he just looks more silly every day. He really does.
But he does, and Texas A&M has got to find a way not to lose 4 games every year before anybody can take Texas A&M seriously.
Yeah, win more than 7 or 8 games. And I gave Kirby Smart a lot of crap, but at least Kirby Smart was winning the East and going to the SEC championship game. He may have got popped there, but in reality, he was at least making it there. I mean, Jimbo Fisher has 0 appearances in the SEC championship game. I don't care that Alabama's over there. You've got a top-ranked roster. You've got all the money in the world. You can go and get whatever it is that you need. You should be, if you're a great coach, then you should be able to do that, and he hasn't done it yet. So there you go.
What is he coming into, his 4th season at Texas A&M?
I got to look. I think it's 5th season, 6th season. I can't remember. I'll have to check.
Okay. I mean, normally for me, and maybe it's because I'm kind of older, I'm in my mid-30s. I remember back when you didn't even think about firing a coach before year 4 or 5, especially with a team that was terrible. Right. And Texas A&M was pretty bad when he took it over. So I'm still of the thinking, 4 or 5 years minimum, see where they're at. Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M is better than they were when he got there.
Yeah, they are better, but they're not over the hump yet. So they've got to get to a point where their win percentage equals where they are as far as their recruiting set. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I gotta go to a break, but thank you so much. All right. Great stuff there. You're welcome to call in 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You really want to go into that there, Megan? Okay. Jimbo Fisher's never beat Clemson when he's at Texas A&M. I mean, none of that matters to you, does it there, Megan? Appreciate you there, Slim Shady. You go ahead and lay on that there bridge there. I keep trying to tell Megan, you should just call the program and say, Georgia won the national title. Yay, we're the defending champion. Now he wants to take on the stuff with Jimbo Fisher. What is your obsession with Jimbo Fisher? He would cut Kirby Smart's throat at the first sight of it. I'm beginning to think that you're not a very good fan there, Megan. I'm starting to believe that. Oh, you want to go to Kirby Smart now? Okay. Well, how about this? Dabo Swinney has 2 national titles. Kirby Smart has 1. Please shut up. You don't want to talk unless that hits you there. Just stop it. Jackpot says he beat that ass at Florida State. The reason he left Florida State was two-pronged, Jackpot. One, because his stripper wife, was banging a Florida trainer. And the other is because he knew what was coming with Dabo Swinney. He didn't want to deal with it. All right? So y'all can sit there and love Jimbo Fisher all you want. He's a fraud and a failure. With that roster, he should be winning a hell of a lot more games. I know you guys have to love him. You guys are really dumb sometimes. Jackpot, you're normally smart. What the hell's wrong with you? You sipping paint again? Drinking paint thinner? What is wrong with you today? Megan bought you lunch and now you're acting silly? Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. We've determined today by our last caller that the Trent Dilfer of coaches, as far as coaches with national titles that don't make sense, Jimbo Fisher's number one, Ed Orgeron's number two, or you can flip-flop. Yeah, I can see that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, we'll take your calls on that. We'll take your calls on what Lane Kiffin said about NIL, basically letting, in a polite way, letting Coach Jimbo Fisher know that you're a fool for calling people clowns when you are the biggest clown on the block. He's driving the clown car. He really is. Brandon Kuhn says, Gene Chizik, yeah, you could throw him up there as one of the Trent Dilfer coaches. It's like, yeah, he's got a national title, but 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. If you'd like to join the program, lots of good calls today, especially with the stuff with NIL and Lane Kiffin and the stuff that's out there with that. What else do we have today? We could talk about the NCAA tournament for a minute if you want, the way that teams are ranked as far as betting odds. We can get into that as well. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Got the Sweet 16 coming up. Oh, I got to talk about this really quick here. This is interesting in its own right. There are teams that are trying to make themselves better on the NFL front. One of them would be the Miami Dolphins, who acquired probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. They're paying him as the top wide receiver in the NFL as they traded for Tyreek Hill today for 5 draft picks, give him a 4-year, $120 million deal. Now, I give you that story because the Carolina Panthers, what did they do? You didn't really hear a lot about this yesterday. It wasn't really on the national front. Unless you're in Charlotte, you would hear about it a little bit. The Carolina Panthers restructured the contract of Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, to save themselves $5 million in cap space. The only thing they should be doing with Christian McCaffrey's contract is trying to trade him, because they've got a lot of holes that they need to fill. They lost out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Now we got to figure out who the quarterback is going to be. Christian McCaffrey's up there. He had a couple of great seasons, but being a running back in the NFL is a very short-term thing. And they should have traded him quickly. Instead, they restructure a deal with him. And now it looks like, I mean, if they're restructuring a deal, they're going to have him back, right? So some teams are doing a lot more as far as trying to get themselves into a setup here where they can compete. And some teams aren't. The Miami Dolphins are. In addition to getting the receiver Hill, they made a lot of other moves. We'll talk about that when we come back. More of the Rundown in just a moment. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I love how all you fans are over there running your mouths about Jimbo Fisher, especially, considering the fact that you got to play against him. silly, to say the least. Well, Georgia doesn't have to. I don't think he's on the Georgia schedule this year. That you win, Big Barney Ross. You win. And yeah, Steve Spurrier left South Carolina because he knew he ran his mouth at Dabo Swinney for a long time, and he knew he was going to get his face kicked in. Gamecock fans need to stand behind that too. You got a coach now that seems to have a set of balls. He's not like old Will Newverring Muschamp. Oh, we got to have players, and blah, 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 blah. We won more games in 3 seasons than anyone else, and blah, 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 blah. I bet you Shane Beamer will never say that. Bet you he won't. I guarantee you that was part of it with Spurrier. He didn't want to recruit anymore, and he knew that Dabo Swinney was going to mouth pump him for forever, as long as he stayed there. Hey, you think Jimbo Fisher's better than Kirby Smart there, begging Megan? I'm sure you can get you a Texas A&M tube top. We'll get you fitted, whatever you need. He ran his mouth about Dabo Swinney at Clemson for a long time and then realized, uh-oh, it's over. I don't want to recruit anymore. B. Bean with a good point there. They choke every year. He did until Swinney figured out the recruiting part of it, and then he knew it was over. That can't be real. Oh, please, jackpot. You need to stop with that nonsense. Not with the way that he quit recruiting. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Final segment of the show. The show's flown by today. Lots of folks with lots of great opinions. I got to read Big Barney Ross's comment online because it made me laugh a little bit. On the way to work, I asked the kid working at McDonald's if the shamrock shakes were made with fresh shamrocks. He went to ask the manager. My day is made. You win, sir. You win. Brandon says, Will Muschamp is the most winning coach in the first 3 years as a coach at South Carolina. Show him some respect. Okay. If that's the way you want to go. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. The Dolphins, by the way, have made so many moves. They picked up Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert. In addition to that, they got the big tackle, the number one offensive tackle, also the number one offensive guard in the NFL. You know what that means? Tua Tagovailoa needs to get his stuff together. What I mean by that, you better have a good season, because if you don't, they're going to find somebody else. Ownership has put money into, they've gotten a fullback, several different pieces for that offense, and it's put up or shut up time for Tua Tagovailoa down in Miami. The bearded one, Fitzpatrick, is not going to save you anymore, sir. You better get your stuff together. They're giving you all the tools you need down there. Better make it go. You know what, though? The Kansas City Chiefs are thinking, all right, Tyreek Hill's gone. They're going to fall off the planet. Not necessarily. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman, Josh Gordon, Justin Watson, Cornell Powell, in addition to Travis Kelce, who's probably the best receiving tight end in the NFL. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They just didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill the money he wanted. Papa B says Tua hasn't been the same since that hip injury in Stark Vegas. Yeah, and I don't want to – I'm not, crowning on the guy for getting hurt. I'm just saying in the NFL, you're paid to win games. The Patriots aren't the Patriots that they were anymore. The big thing in the NFL, what is it, the AFC East, is the Buffalo Bills. You better have your stuff together. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. Slim Shady says, I have no faith in Lane, the head coach. He's a good OC, but he gets a lot of his jobs off of his daddy's name. Well, his dad was a defensive coordinator. So I think Lane Kiffin's got a bright offensive mind, and he's shown the ability to recruit a little bit down there. I agree with what he says on the NIL stuff, though. I really do. The hat says, my dogs are named after beer and liquor. I have a cat named Harambe after the gorilla that got shot in the zoo. Megan says, can't wait to see Rob eating Jimbo Crow come January. Look, if you need your Jimbo Fisher thong to match everything else you've got with him there, we'll order one for you. Okay? You think he's going to win the West? Why don't you go ahead and put that out there, sir? You think he's going to win the West? You think he's the greatest thing ever? He's going to beat Nick Saban and win the West this year, right? No, you don't want to talk about that, right? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Dakota US says, Lane Kiffin is a good coach. He just can't stay nowhere long enough to build a team. Let's see here. He also says a good OC does not necessarily make a good head coach. And yes, I did say Jimbo Fisher thong because I believe Beggin' Megan is up on all of his, what do they call it? Evening attire. He's got all that stuff. I mean, he's said on the show, he's got the stuff for Will Muschamp, if I remember correctly. I have to go back to the tape. I got to remember. Sure, he's got that, the garter with Will Muschamp's face on it. He's probably got that. He's got the full evening gown attire for Kirby Smart. Now he's wanting to branch out a little bit, and I admire that. Be proud of who you are, sir. Get you that Jimbo Fisher thong. You know that's what you need in your life. We don't judge here on the program. We absolutely don't. All right, later on in the week, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. I have stuff I didn't get to today, including NCAA tournament odds, transfer quarterbacks. The Washington Commanders are a joke. I'll leave you with this today. The USFL adds 3-point conversions and best of 3 overtime among its rule twists. Here are some of the new rules. 2 forward passes from behind the line of scrimmage are illegal. Each coach will be allowed 1 replay challenge. All kickoffs will be from the 25. On punts, gunners may not line up outside the numbers, and they cannot be double team blocked until the ball is kicked. The clock will stop for first downs inside of 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarters. If a pass does not cross the line of scrimmage, there can be no pass interference or ineligible player downfield penalties. Yeah, that's kind of interesting stuff. That's one of the things we'll get from the USFL. All games played in Birmingham, by the way, even though they're going to tell you they're the Michigan this and the Tampa Bay that. All the games we played in the NFL. But they're going to have some interesting rules. I don't think the football is going to be of high caliber, but it'll be fun to watch. Absolutely be fun to watch. Big Barney Ross says Jimbo Fisher has done for BS what Stonehenge did for rocks, and that's made a masterpiece out of it. Okay. Dakota says, also to make this clear, I have a like and dislike relationship with Lane Kiffin. Hate is too strong of a word. Yeah, I think there's Tennessee folks that are still upset with him. I mean, Lane Kiffin also got fired on a tarmac. There's that too. And then it was like everybody wanted Lane Kiffin. Imagine that. He went to Nick Saban's coaching. What's the term we want to use here? Coaching resurrection service, and resurrected his career. Ended up going to Florida Atlantic, and then now he's at Ole Miss. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Elijah Allen, yeah, it's coach's rehab. Butch Davis is down there. You got to think about this. I mean, at one point, Nick Saban had like two former Tennessee coaches there with Nick Saban and Butch Davis, all patrolling the sidelines, running around in there. It's kind of weird to see them running around in their when they're running around in the Alabama clothes when they coach at Tennessee. Rick wants to know, when will I start making sense? I don't know. I have no clue. Probably not soon. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. As we roll to the end of the rundown today, don't forget my buddy Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk. By the way, what did we learn on the program today? We learned on the program that Jimbo Fisher and Ed Orgeron are basically the Trent Dilfer of coaches. Got a national title, but not so much. So, I mean, that's kind of what we learned today, and there's no shame in that. Megan says, I need prayers. No, I don't. Big Barney Ross says, Lane Kiffin sleeps in a onesie. All right, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports. When you're going around today, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out his program. Remember, do not be a clown like Jimbo Fisher. You don't want to do that. You do want to check out Lawton Swan Show.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
More of the rundown tomorrow. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I do need prayers, sir. I have to put up with you as listeners. You Jimbo Fisher lovers. All right, appreciate y'all, man. New Rob and Kale show tonight. We'll talk to you later on.